Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 2 in a best of 5 between Włochaty and Gonzo in the grand final of the second European tournament. Today we are going to be seeing Colleville, and on the Allied side Włochaty has chosen the Demi-Brigade SAS. On the Axis side, Gonzo has at his disposal the 21st Panzer. Now this is a division, the 21st Panzer, that I did not expect to see Gonzo in this best of 5. It doesn't seem like a division that he's played very often, or that at least I've seen him play very often, and therefore I'm a bit worried about how that will feel for him throughout this game. Over on the other side, with Włochaty, the Demi-Brigade SAS is something that completely suits his playstyle. Włochaty is a very infantry-based player, and the Demi-Brigade SAS certainly take advantage of infantry, especially with the recon infantry, the FFI saboteurs, and things like the FFI partisans with the 150 meter range Panzerfaust AT infantry. Now those can be spread across the map, find loads of ambushes, and that's what Włochaty does very, very well. We saw it in the last game. He used the Panzerstrecks perfectly, got them into very obscure positions that Gonzo got caught out from multiple times. And yeah, it was basically on a knife edge in the last game because of those Panzerstrecks in a lot of ways. In this one, we'll have to see if Włochaty can have the same success with the partisans or other AT infantry. Either way, let's have a look at the deployment from Gonzo. He's going to be starting with 2 of these 222s with the Aufklärers. He's going to have a Panzergren in there and then some Panzergrens in the U304s. There's also going to be the Multier early on with the Pak 43 at the start, which is quite something. And then we see an AT gun in there. That's probably a Pak 38. Then we have the U304 with another Panzergren for the mid and bot side. So a concentrated push for the top once again from Gonzo. Over on the side of Włochaty, he's going to be playing with a Pak 38 on the top side. There's going to be some rallies in there. He's got some of the saboteurs. There's also going to be the Jedburgh and a partisan squad, actually 2 units of those command. Then further down we see a Panhard. That's going to be supporting multiple FFI saboteurs with a unit of rallies in there, some command. There's going to be the Fraction with the partisan, and then we see the DMA, which is going to be bringing in a Pak 40, I assume, because the Kubels, they bring in the Pak 38s, and I think the DMA is bringing the Pak 40s. So let me just check that. Yeah, I think that's right. So there we go. Either way, on the bottom side, it's going to be a rather loose engagement for Włochaty, splitting these forces between the mid and bottom side. However, this concentrated force on the top side may be just enough to counter the play out of Gonzo. Saying that, if the Pak 38 goes down, then there won't be too much to take care of these SPW-222s. And SPW-222s with the 20mm autocannons and 3-star veterancy can absolutely chew through infantry. And that is something that Włochaty will have to be very careful of if he loses AT. So, let's look at Gonzo's deployment. Now the 21st Panzer, they do suffer with a similar problem to the 2nd Panzer that we saw in the last game, and that is that their units can cost quite a lot from the start. And that means that you don't have too much to work with. So Gonzo having to spread out the Panzer Grenadiers quite sparingly. But a couple of engagements have already occurred. We do see that the Pak 40 took out one of the 222s. Then the 222 I think also took out a unit of infantry before it unloaded, and the partisans, well, they just went headlong into some Panzergrens. Meanwhile on the top side, partisans trying to get the better of this 222. Saboteurs, they're pushing in. Find the Aufklärer here. I don't think the Aufklärer will be long for this world, with the 2-star rallies getting on target with an MG34. So a few kills here and there. Now the Pak 43 going to be engaging the Pak 40. AT gun wars in the mid. Not something you see very often. But the Pak 43, with its higher health, should win out in the long run. And it does have veterancy as well due to the Panzergrenadier, so that's another reason that włochaty will back off from that engagement. Saboteurs are going to come in with the HE grenade there onto the U-304. That is going to mean that the Saboteurs get pinned down nice and easy. Jedburgh are going to be trying to push up with the Gem Bomb to take that out. Meanwhile, on this top side, rallies moving into the tree line briefly. Do manage to spot out the Panzergrens and were going to engage, but decided better of it. Now the Pak 38 going to be trying to move up into a position where it can take on that 20mm autocannon. But early on here, włochaty has found himself the +1 with this ground made on the bottom side. Unfortunately for Gonzo, his lack of availability from the offset does mean that there will be gaps in his front line, and włochaty has managed to find and exploit one here to gain some ground early on. But Pak 40, that's going to take shots from the 257. It's also taking shots from the Pak 43, and that's the Pak 40 down. Nicely done. U-304 going to be pushing on through. We'll find the Hotchkiss here, but the Hotchkiss can do a lot of damage to U-304. It just depends whether or not it gets in cover in time, which it doesn't look like it did. So it will be pinned down and just surrendered straight away, pretty much. And that's going to open up some ground. Nice salient there for Gonzo in the mid. Now the Saboteurs, they actually managed to get that HE grenade to work this time around, kill off the U-304, but will the 222 stand for that? No, it will not. Absolutely chunks that Saboteur squad, kills 3 of those men. And now we'll back off as the rallies do start to come down. włochaty's looking to sneak up onto this 222 and find a Panzerfaust kill there. Now this U-304, I don't expect it to sit in this position for very long. włochaty is replying with a Panhard, which is a nice cheap solution to killing half-tracks, so no surprise there. Panzer Grenadiers, they're going to try and get close to this tree line. They are met by the rallies. They do need to be careful that they don't get too close, because otherwise that could be a straight-up surrender, since the Panzergrens are not supported by command. But it looks like this Pak 38 was spotted moving towards the tree line, so the 257 already trying to counter that. And the Panzer Grenadiers, I think they have line of sight onto the Jedburgh maybe. Actually no, they're going straight for the Pak 38. I thought the smoke would have blocked that, but apparently not. U-304 goes down in the mid after making some ground, but they will want to remain hidden if they can. They've moved out the top side of that tree line, so they are for now. Panzergrens on the bottom, they're trying to hold back these Saboteurs, so they try and make some ground. 222 will push up to support those, but that will probably provoke włochaty to move down the rally squad to help out. Now we're seeing Gonzo start to rely on some armour. So Befehl, that's just a normal Panzer 35S with the Panzer 4C. Supporting each other. The Panzer 4C does have that 9 HE, which is really good at killing infantry at range. But there is now a Pak 38 moving into this tree line, and that might be something that Gonzo has to be very careful of. Although he will be able to engage it with the Panzer 4 and the Pak 43, it still has the potential to one-shot either of these tanks the closer they get. But nice moves on the top side here from Gonzo. He did manage to clean up both of the Jedburgh here. This one's just on one man. I think the other one must have been taken out or at least pinned down and surrendered. And that's left the rest of the infantry to be surrendered. Now the Saboteur is going to take a chunk from the 222. And, well, Gonzo's started to make some ground up here. It's going to be hard for him to push onto the Pak 38. And the Pak 38 is going to find the kill onto the 222. So that's kind of caused some issues. Pak 43, or Pak 38, sorry, has moved down to the bottom side of this tree line. Really smart movement here from włochaty, because that means that the Pak 40 or Pak 38 is not in line of sight of the Pak 43, which would otherwise be able to support the Panzer 35 and Panzer 4 in that engagement. So the Pak 38 able to get the upper hand onto the Panzer 35 and force it back for now. 257 going to continue that mortar fire. włochaty knows it. It's just going to get the hell out of there for now. But in order to push, Gonzo is going to need another vehicle, and he doesn't have that on the top side for now. Also on this bottom side, with the support of the half-track and the Panhard, the Panzergrens have been forced back for the time being. And that means that these rallies and Saboteurs can continue the push. But here we see Panzergrens. They're going to be finding the rallies. Rallies will get pinned down. The MG42s, there are 2 of those in a Panzergren squad, while the rallies only have 1 MG34. And it's quite a big difference, but here we see again the Pak 38 being used perfectly to take out that Panzer 35 in the mid. The aggression there from Gonzo not quite working out. But nice find for Gonzo here. Is probably going to get rid of these rallies, and that will clean things up nicely. That will mean that the 222 is going to be much less exposed on this bottom side. However, saying that, having lost this tree line, Pak 38 can quite simply move in there and really start to support. Now the 222, it's used up all of its 20 more ammunition, so it's not going to have an easy time against this half track, and you can see that taking effect there. Panzer IV going to be trying to fire position this tree line to stop the Pak 38 from making any ground for the time being, or at least having the ability to push in there whilst he gets some recon up close and personal. Meanwhile, on the very top side, the Jedburgh, they have been killed. It must have been the mortar that hit the mark there. But down on this bottom side, well, the Panzer 35, it cleaned up the half track, and it also, I was going to say killed this half track, but that was a Pak 38 killing a half track there, the U304 going down, and the 222 is also dead, so both sides trading blows on this bottom side. The Panzer 35 is looking to engage the Panhard, but it's 2v1 is not ideal, and the Panhard's going to get off the shot at close range. Panzer 35 goes down. No chance. Panhard gets the job done. And now these Panhards can chew through these half tracks quite nicely and continue to support the engagements between these infantry. Now what Gonzo has done here is he's continued the suppression onto this tree line, and he's basically pushed the 222 right up close and personal. But with this rallies in position, Włochaty can just clean that up very shortly if he wants to. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Gonzo's got to find a way to deal with these Panhards, so he's going to be investing into a Pak 38. But I'm pretty sure Włochaty's going to make it very difficult to find this kill, because the Pak 38 is in a really awkward position. It's had to like unload early because of the open ground here, and now I think the Panhard's going to get really close to the Pak 38 before the Pak 38 is spotted, unless the Pak 38 has time to push into this tree line. And if it does, I guess the Panhard will still go down, because it's unlikely that this machine gun will pin down the Pak 38 before the Pak 38 gets off at least a couple of shots. Our Panzergrens there, they were trying to clean up this Pak 38, but Pak 40 saves the day. Meanwhile, in the mid, Spitfire Mark 9 coming in for Włochaty is going to bomb out the Pak 43. Rallies are going to move into the tree line. They're going to Panzerfaust the 221. That's going to end up surrendering. No chance there for that crew. Panzergren's going to try and engage saboteurs, but the Panhard pinning those down. And just like I mentioned, as the Pak 38s come up, the Panhards have been moved into awkward positions, so the Pak 38 is going to struggle to find the kill there. Now, an engagement between ME109 G0 and the Spitfire Mark 9 here. The G0 tends to get the upper hand in these sorts of engagements just because it is that little bit slower and has a tighter turning circle. That may just work out in Gonzo's favour here, unless Włochaty can get in another Spitfire to save the day. Yeah, that's going to be a Spitfire Mark 9 shot down. Not falling back in time. Nice kill for Gonzo. Now Gonzo is starting to get the upper hand across the map. On this top side, his Panzer Grenadiers have pushed into really nice positions. However, this one's going to be forced back by the oppression of the half track, and he doesn't have any AT there to stop that from being a problem. But he's managed to almost surround this bottom side. With the help of these Panzer Grenadiers moving through this tree line, he's cleaned up a couple units here and there, and really taken back a lot of ground. Now he's just got to try and encircle these Panhards and take care of them, which he's going to be looking to do with these Panzer Grenadiers. Now, as long as the Panzer Grenadiers maintain between, like a position between the Pak 38 and the Panhard, they should be able to freely push forwards, because the Pak 38 should have line of sight. But as you can see, with the crossfire occurring, and Włochaty's positioning, he manages to take out one of the Panzer squads without even being fired upon by the Pak-38, and that's the trouble of playing against somebody who's so proficient at this game. Like, it's just very, very awesome to see these kinds of plays. Jedburgh, they're going to come across and kill off this Panzer IV. That's going to really annoy Gonzo, because he was looking to use that to help solidify this sort of pocket on the bottom side. But now it looks like the Panzergrens are the ones surrounded rather than the Panards. So Włochaty not in the best position. Now the Panhard, it does look like it suffered an internal fragment, but with the help of the other Panhard has managed to kill off the Pak-38. Now a Panzer 35 on the way. Gonzo should be able to hold the ground here, because the things that are getting territory are the Panhards. The saboteurs, they don't take territory. So as long as he finds a way to kill the Panhards, he will gain back all the territory up to about here. So that's really, really nice, and something that Gonzo can almost rely upon to get back some ground. Either way, we moved into Phase B, and it's currently 50-50, close as ever. Panzer IV-G now arriving on this top side. Now the Panzer IV can clean up any half-track that gets aggressive, and I mentioned this half-track being a problem for the Panzergrens, and that's going to be what Gonzo's going to try and take out here. He's also managed to resupply the 257, so he's going to try and kill off the Pak-38s. Panzergrens, they're going to try and stop the Chasseur Para from getting up in their face. Now look at this movement from Gonzo. He's managed to surround these forces on the bottom side, which is very, very nice. That's now potentially going to push him a +1 if these Panzergrens can continue to get the upper hand onto this infantry. But now that we're into Phase B for the Demi-Brigade SAS, their infantry is actually superb. These Chasseurs Para are like just absolutely awesome at close range. They got the 17 HE, and then they have the 100-meter gammon bomb for anti-tank purposes, and then they've also got a couple smoke grenades. So really great versatile units that can take advantage of infantry at close range. Now that was a very nice kill there for the Panzergrens. Unfortunately, they just got pinned down in time to be surrendered, but the infantry squad goes with them, so that was a nice trade. Gonzo, however, I think he just lost a unit of command there. Again, at close range, unless that was the Jedburgh going down. Possibly could have been. It might have been the Pioneers taking them out. Pioneers now getting aggressive towards Saboteurs. Saboteurs don't have a grenade to match that engagement, and what's going to happen here is Gonzo's going to end up using the HE grenade onto the Saboteurs. Actually, they were reloading, so that's not going to happen. Pioneers actually get pinned down. One of the Panhards has been taken care of now. The second one is still active. Panzer 35 will be looking to engage that shortly. But Włochaty, all he needs to do is just get up close and personal, come right to the edge of this tree line, so that when the Panzer 35 comes around the corner, it's at a disadvantage, because those Panzer 35s, they do struggle with aim time for sure. These two Panzergrens, they've been forced back by the machine gun here. And now we are back to an advantage for Włochaty. 350 points on the board. But Gonzo's forces are nothing to underestimate. They have two Panzer IV-Gs on the field, and these things can be absolute snipers at range. But I'd say the main problem we're going to see is that the Panzer IV-Gs cannot fight against the Jagdpanzer, at least not easily, and they lack the armor that a Panzer IV has, so they're even more likely to die. That's 6 armor. Meanwhile, on the bottom side though, Panzer 35 finally kills off the last Panhard, and the Panzergrens are free to try and push forwards once again. But with the infantry reinforcement coming in for Włochaty, getting through these tree lines is now harder than ever. Also, what's good for Włochaty here is he got a couple saboteurs right behind enemy lines, which can provide him with some really good information, especially if he, for example, moves his saboteurs up to the top of this town and keeps an eye on the reinforcing road. 3-inch mortar, that's going to clean up the Pak-43 in the mid. On the bottom side, Panzergrens are going to find themselves falling back as well. These Panzergrens, they got some machine gun fire onto the Chasseur Para, but the Chasseur Para managed to get a smoke down. And now they're just going to be trying to run down the Panzergrens here and clean them up. They do with the 3-star veterancy, nice and easy. Panzer 35, that doesn't want to get surrounded, so probably going to try and fall back to friendly lines at some point, as Gonzo continues to bring in some more infantry reinforcement. But one thing I do foresee throughout this game is that Gonzo will run out of infantry, especially against the Demi-Brigade SAS. 222. Will it manage to kill off this Pak 38 before the Pak 38 becomes an issue? I'm not entirely sure it will, and even if the Pak 38 is dead, the Hotchkiss might still do the job, so that's not ideal. Engagement between the Panzer 4G and the Jagdpanzer almost goes as expected, but the Jagdpanzer finds itself pinned down by a bombing strike, I assume? Or maybe it was the rocket strike from the Me-109. That would make more sense. Me-109, that's actually going to get the better of the Spitfire Mark 9 once again. It's out of range of the 25mm AA, so Me-109 winning out once again. This Pak 38, it's come up from the bottom side. It's going to find the shot onto the Panzer 4. That wasn't even the Panzer 4G, that was a Panzer 4H. Crazy stuff. And it's actually managing to fall back in time that the Me-109G0 fails to find the strafing run. Crazy. Now the command infantry down here going to get an internal fragments onto the Panzer 35, completely disables its effectiveness, and now the Panzer 35 is falling back behind enemy lines. It will be a matter of time before that is surrendered. 222 will be surrendered by these Chasseurs Para, which have used smoke to cross the open ground. Panzergrens not going to fare any good against the Hotchkiss there. That is tragic. Panzergrens now going to have to fall back as well. And well, with the Panzer 35 taken out, infantry now pinned down, that is a +2 in favour of Włochaty, as absolutely taking full control of this bottom side. The command infantry there, they try and get a Piat on target onto the Panzer 4G. This Panzer 4G is surely only a matter of time until that goes down. Chasseurs Para also coming up close with the Gammon bomb. There it goes, Panzer 4G down. Nicely done. That is +3 in favour of Włochaty, and just like that, Włochaty gets the upper hand. Some really smooth plays here with the infantry, makes things work. I think he just had the perfect composition of forces to make a play like this happen, and now he's got his hands on this town with Chasseurs Para. It's going to be very, very difficult for Panzergrens to push back through. Now there's a good opportunity, or a good possibility, sorry, that Gonzo has pioneers, so he may be able to get the work done with those, but the Chasseurs Para still do a lot of damage at close range, and if they're microed properly, then they will win anyway. So I feel like Włochaty is just in such a strong position here, and you can see him just rushing forwards all of the infantry now to take positions in this town. There we go, 2 units of pioneers. Me-109, G2 BR-21, going to be coming in once again with the rocket strike onto the Jagdpanzer to allow the Panzer 4G to try and find the kill. But Tempest has come in, finds the Me-109 there, and now we'll be looking for a second. The AA will stop the Me-109G0 from affecting the Tempest at all, and that Tempest has caught up to this Me-109G0, but it's going to get out in time, and it's likely that this G0 will as well, since the turning there for the Tempest was quite awkward. So here we go, Pioneers trying to clean their way back through this town, but this is just an impossible task against the Demi-Brigade SAS, it really is. And as soon as these Pioneers use their grenade, Włochaty's just going to jump on out. He can wait for the grenade to explode, he can jump back in, Pioneers are going to lose out that engagement. If they continue at the 100-meter range, that is. But Gonzo actually doing a fantastic job of utilising the U-304s to help pin down this infantry, and will potentially surrender some Chasseurs Para here, as it looks like Włochaty is distracted elsewhere. So yeah, there goes one of the units of Chasseurs Para. Gonzo making it look easy. Meanwhile, on the top side, these Panzergrens, they're going to be taking on the SAS Gruppe FM. The Pak 40, that's continuing to fall back. I think the 257 was engaging that with the mortar fire. Now, Gonzo's probably countering on the fact that he might be able to just cut off this bottom side salient here from Włochaty, but that's if he realises exactly how much he's up against, because there's a lot of infantry in this town, and that's not going to be easy to completely clean up, and especially with the Chasseurs here getting the better of that half-track, it doesn't make things any easier. Now, command infantry do die to this U-304. His Macassars try and make ground, but the Pioneers managed to destroy them. That's a grenade landing on target there. Job done. +3 remains in favour of Włochaty for the time being. Now, with 17 minutes left on the clock, there is a lot of opportunity for Gonzo to still come back from this. Włochaty still has, or only has 1,150 points, but one thing we do have to be aware of is that Włochaty is now in phase C, and so is Gonzo, which means 150 points per minute for the Demi-Brigade SAS, and that also means M4A376s, which are really, really good against every unit that Gonzo has, except from King Tigers. And the King Tiger is on the way. So the King Tiger may be able to stop those M4A3s from being effective, but what is not good for Gonzo is that he just lost a unit of infantry here before it even unloaded to the Chasseurs that have now gained access to this town. Also, both of these Pioneers have now been surrendered or surrounded on the bottom side by the Chasseurs positioning. So the +3 just going to remain in favour of Włochaty, and this is just really, really frustrating for Gonzo to deal with, because he must have thought that he had control down here, but having lost the half-track, this half-track falling back, and now the Pioneers being deep in enemy territory, it makes things pretty difficult. And now that is a crew knockout onto the King Tiger here from a Pak 38. Pak 38 firing into the 9 side armor of the King Tiger here. Potential for a kill, not quite going to happen. Me109G0 stopped that from happening. Meanwhile, in the mid here, I think that was the Jagdpanzer went down. It's now gone. I think it died just... there it is. There's the wreck. Died to the Panzer IV-G at close range. M4A376 is on the field, which can engage the Panzer IV-G at the 1,200 meter range, whilst the Panzer IV-G will not be able to fire back, but the King Tiger has got it covered. The main problem for Gonzo is that if Włochaty continues to use smoke like this, it makes it very difficult for the King Tiger to advance. And the King Tiger in general is pretty bad as a unit that you want to use to win a game. It's generally a unit that you use when you're already winning, like in order to secure your victory. But look at this, Panzergren's getting chewed up by the Chasseurs, and there goes the half-track as well, no chance. And Gonzo, the only time that recon comes in like this is usually because they've run out of infantry. So it looks like that may be the case. And against this composition of forces that Włochaty has in the town, that's not good at all. Really not good. Gonzo is in such an impossible position right now against this division. And armoured rifles, they are going to come in here and engage Panzergrens at close range. Technically the armoured rifles are better with the 6HE versus the 5, but the Panzergrens are in heavy cover. So that does mean that the Panzergren should have the advantage. The explosion of the half-track there, plus the M3 half-track, though, not helping much. These Panzergrens, they are engaging the SAS Grouper FM with the... I was going to say with the MG42s, but they are not. That's the U304 firing there. ME109 trying to help out. That's going to be a driver wound, though, onto the Königstiger as the M4A3 comes around the corner. This King Tiger is going to be very, very careful. Włochaty, he is waiting to ambush this once again, especially as it shows side armor. Look at that, it's completely facing the armored rifles here. It does not want to do so. It's leaving it open for an attack for the M4A376. The M4A376 shows itself. Can it find the kill? It does not. Driver wound by the Panzer IV-G's. Got it covered. King Tiger, can it do the job? Panzer IV-G does it first, and that is a successful kill there for Gonzo. He avoids that play. Wow, that was very close, but Włochaty is now pushing towards 2,000 points. He's been on this +3 for way too long, and although it's pretty much got into the position where Gonzo may be able to, you know, cut off this town entirely by just surrounding it, unfortunately, it's a bit too late. Now the bazooka there, it does take out the Panzer IV, so that's no longer able to support the King Tiger, and now the King Tiger on its own may just die to the M4A1 and the M4A376, which is not good at all. Tempest going to be coming in here, take out the ME109 G2BR21 nice and easy. Can it shoot down the ME109 G0 as well? It probably will, especially with the arrival of the CGMC there. So that's going to be ME109 G0 going down, and the second one to follow most likely as well. Włochaty's really cleaned up the skies. Initially, Gonzo used these ME109s very well to win the air engagements, but now in a very, very tough position. The King Tiger, looks like the M4A1's going to be looking for a close range engagement. It's just really, really hard for a King Tiger to not be flanked on its own. And when the Panzer IV-G was there, you could see that it could cover it, but now the Panzer IV-G is not there. The King Tiger's kind of in a really awkward position. The M4A376 is going to find a side shot potentially. It does not. King Tiger does not have time to aim at the M4A3 in reply. M4A376 going to be coming back for another shot. Misses again. King Tiger tries to go for a shot but just can't make it. Meanwhile, it looks like Włochaty was finding ground behind enemy lines, and well, after 28 minutes and 5 seconds, Gonzo realizes he is not going to be able to win this game and does surrender before he potentially loses his King Tiger. And that is now 1-1 in this best of 5 series between Włochaty and Gonzo. Just as exciting as the first. Absolutely insane games these are. Loving it. Unfortunately, I feel like Gonzo didn't really have the right division. Not only to deal with the Demi-Brigade SAS, but also it felt like he was a bit off his game with the 21st Panzer. It's not a division that I've seen him on very often, and I think that may have put him sort of in a tough position just in general going into the game. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but either way, Włochaty takes advantage, finds himself the second game, and that is very, very well done indeed. So we are going to be going on to a game 3, 1-1, which means we're going to see at least 4 games, which is fantastic. Cannot wait. Let's jump into the kills here. Jedburgh finding the kill onto the Panzer IV-C there. A lot of this infantry found kills onto expensive units, and that is really, really nice. Definitely important for Włochaty to do so. Pak 38s were used well. Cleaned up these half tracks nicely. Took out that 222. Panhard again used very well. These Panhards put so much pressure on that bottom side. Couldn't deal, well, like Gonzo couldn't deal with the Panhards with the Panzer 35s. The Panhard actually got the better of the initial Panzer 35. The second one, however, did manage to bring it back. This Panzer IV-H got ambushed by that Pak 38. That was a really, really nice kill there. And just when those 55-point AT guns kill a 140-point tank, that's really good news. And something that definitely helps in the long run. This Tempest, only one Tempest is all it took Włochaty to shoot down 2 ME109s, 3 ME109s, and strafe to death some units. Really good job with that Tempest for sure, just to clean up those skies once the AA had come onto the field. The use of the Chasseur Pala to reinforce that bottom side was perfectly timed, allowed himself to get through to that town and secure it, which made things very difficult for Gonzo. Now Gonzo worked really well with this mortar early on, and I think there was potential that the Panzer IV-C that he brought in alongside the Panzer 35 could have really broken through there, because this 257 was being used really well to take out AT. But unfortunately, Włochaty microed that AT gun in a way that it made it really difficult to cover them with the Pak 43, and that was like really, really smart. So Gonzo just straight up outplayed there, I feel. Now this ME109 early on took out that Spitfire Mark 9 bomber. Really, really good job, honestly, with the ME109 G0. Did eventually go down in the end, but Gonzo potentially overinvested into his air force, I feel. Like the Me-109 G2 BR-21s, they came in to rocket the Jagdpanzer in order to give the Panzer IV Gs an advantage in that engagement, but the Panzer IV Gs were trying to engage at 1,000 meter range, and that's not ideal, because the Jagdpanzer, as soon as it gets pinned down, it's just reversing, and then the kill is very unlikely. So although, like, in the end, the Jagdpanzer did go down to the Panzer IV-G, it was very late into the game that actually happened. Now, this was a Panzer 35 that saved the late game, but you can see, like, the absolute lack of kills at, like, this sort of phase in the game, like phase B. Like, and the initial engagements were nice. I think it's on the top side, Gonzo, like, absolutely tore apart Włochaty's infantry. But as we progress, it was like mainly down to this Panzer IV-G like holding up the mid, and then like not much happened in the late game, and that's how Włochaty managed to maintain his +3 for so damn long. But yeah, brilliant game. Really enjoyed this one. Hopefully we are going to continue the trend moving into the third game, but until then, hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.